Let me start with a truth that may shake you at your core. The $50 million, 0 cents you're looking for is not out there. It's already yours. Yes, not in some distant future, not when the economy changes, not when the government gets it together. Now, already yours. But the problem is this: you haven't climbed it. Now listen, I'm not here to coddle your excuses. I'm here to confront them. Because some of you have been praying for a harvest, but you haven't even bothered to pick up the plow. You're waiting on something you're supposed to be walking into. $50 million, 0 cents. It's in your assignment. It's in your obedience. It's in your calling. But most of all, it's in your mind. See, wealth doesn't show up in your bank account first. It shows up in your mindset. And your mindset shapes your habits. Your habits shape your value, and your value shapes your income. So let me ask you, what's stopping you from aligning your mind with that $50 million, 0 cents? It's not your background, it's not your education, it's not your race, your location, your family, or your past. It's your thinking. You've been conditioned to think small, trained to tolerate mediocrity, fed a steady diet of scarcity. And let me be clear, scarcity is a LIE. There is no shortage of money. There is no shortage of opportunity, but there is a shortage of belief, and that's what keeps people broke. Wealth begins in the mind before it manifests in the bank. That's not just a motivational catchphrase. It's a foundational truth that separates those who create massive wealth from those who simply chase it. Most people look for external changes to fix internal problems. They believe that if they just get a better job, start the right business, or get lucky with an investment, the money will come. But the truth is, those things are fruits. The root is your thinking. If your mind isn't wired for wealth, even if you receive it, you'll lose it. That's why people win the lottery and go broke in 5 years. Their hands had money, but their minds were still in poverty. You don't build a mansion on a cracked foundation. And you don't build wealth on broken beliefs. Everything you currently have is a reflection of what you believe you can have. That's a hard pill for some people to swallow because it removes excuses. But it also gives you back your power, because if your current financial condition is a product of your thinking, then your future condition can be too. The wealthiest people in the world didn't get there by accident. They learned how to think differently. They learned how to think in alignment with abundance, not limitation. They learned how to see opportunity where others saw obstacles. They trained their minds to believe in the invisible before it ever became visible. Before you can hold wealth in your hands, you have to see it in your spirit. You have to believe that it belongs to you, not because of luck, not because of privilege, but because you were created with purpose and potential. Money is drawn to purpose. When you align your mind with who you truly are, what you're really here to do, and the value you were designed to bring, you become magnetic to wealth. But when your mind is filled with fear, lack, and doubt, you repel the very things you're praying for. There is a direct connection between your internal identity and your external reality. If you still see yourself as a struggler, as someone who never gets ahead, as someone who is always behind, then no matter how much money you touch, your subconscious will find a way to return you to the level your mind believes you belong to. You will shrink your vision and call it bad luck. You will shrink your vision and call it being realistic. You will settle and call it gratitude. But real gratitude doesn't settle. It multiplies. Real gratitude says, because I'm grateful for what I have, I'm going to maximize it. That starts with your mind. When your thinking changes, your decisions change. And when your decisions change, your results change. Wealth doesn't respond to hustle alone. It responds to alignment. And alignment begins internally. Your thoughts are either opening doors or slamming them shut. Your thoughts are either creating space for wealth or pushing it away. That's why mindset isn't optional, it's essential. This is not just about positive thinking, truly. It's about constructive thinking. Thinking that builds, thinking that supports your purpose, thinking that speaks in the language of abundance, Because wealth speaks a specific language. It's the language of clarity, of belief, of value, of vision, of expectation. Most people ask, what do I need to do to get rich? But the better question is, who do I need to become? Because the doing flows from the being. You can't outperform your self-concept. If you see yourself as a $40,000 0 cents a year person, that's where you'll land. Even if a six-figure opportunity knocks, you'll find a way to sabotage it, not because you're weak, but because you're misaligned. Your mind is not yet set to hold more. So the work isn't just financial, it's mental. The first deposit you make into your future isn't money, it's belief. And belief comes from thoughts that are repeated until they become your new normal. Your $50 million 0 cents is tied to your assignment, not your circumstances. Too many people are trying to unlock wealth in the wrong places. They're chasing what looks profitable instead of pursuing what they were created to do. They jump from one business idea to the next, one hustle to another, hoping that something finally hits. But wealth isn't found in random effort. It's found in divine alignment. Your assignment is the problem you were born to solve, the value you were uniquely designed to deliver, and when you operate in that assignment, you don't chase money. Money begins to chase you. Circumstances are temporary. Assignments are eternal. Circumstances change with the economy, with politics, with time, but your assignment was written into your DNA. You didn't choose it, it chose you. And as long as you're ignoring it, resisting it, or trying to trade it in for something easier or flashier, you'll always struggle to see the kind of breakthrough you're capable of. You were never meant to manufacture wealth through force. You were meant to unlock it through alignment. That means understanding who you are, what you're here to do, and committing to that path without compromise. Some people think their problem is lack of resources, but the real issue is lack of alignment. They're planting in soil that was never meant for their seed. They're working hard in someone else's field, hoping for a harvest that was never promised to them. When you step into your assignment, things begin to open. It doesn't mean there won't be struggle. It means the struggle will be meaningful. It means you'll have grace for the work. It means the doors that were closed begin to swing open, because now you're operating in authority. Your assignment comes with provision attached to it. That means the resources, the connections, the platforms, the opportunities. They are already set aside for the real you, the you who's walking in purpose. You don't have to manipulate to get them. You don't have to hustle out of desperation. You just have to show up fully in the place you were created to occupy. But if you spend your life comparing yourself to others, trying to imitate someone else's gift, or downgrading your vision to fit into someone else's mold, you'll forfeit the abundance that was meant for you. There's a difference between activity and assignment. Activity wears you out. Assignment builds you up. When you're in your assignment, even the hard days are fulfilling. Even the obstacles make sense. There's momentum behind you because you're being powered by something bigger than yourself. That's where the $50 million 0 cents lives. Not in wishful thinking or trial and execution of purpose and execution. Your circumstances are not a limitation. They are often the very stage where your assignment is revealed. The environment you came from, the challenges you faced, the pain you've endured, none of that is wasted. Your story is not a setback. It's part of your strategy, but only when you stop using it as a reason why you can't and start seeing it as the reason why you must. You are equipped for a specific call, and that call is not subject to your current bank balance or zip code. Your $50 million 0 cents isn't waiting for better conditions. It's waiting for you to say yes to the real work you were born to do. When you honor your assignment, you move differently. You speak with clarity. You operate with boldness. You stop negotiating your worth, because now you're not just selling a product, you're delivering destiny. People don't just pay for what you do, they pay for the authority you carry. And authority only comes from alignment. It's not something you can fake. It's the natural byproduct of someone who knows exactly why they're here and refuses to play small. Scarcity is a lie. Alignment is the truth. Most people live as though resources are limited, as though success is only for a select few, as if money is some rare treasure locked away from those who weren't born into privilege. That mindset is not only false, it's destructive. Scarcity trains people to see lack everywhere. It tells you there's not enough time, not enough opportunity, not enough clients, not enough support. But that lie becomes real when you believe it. Your belief in scarcity produces behavior rooted in fear, and fear-based behavior always limits your potential. Scarcity makes you compete when you were designed to create. It makes you settle for crumbs when you were meant to own the table. It convinces you that someone else's success is your loss, that someone else's promotion is your delay. That's why people stay small, because scarcity whispers that growth is dangerous, that risk is foolish, that abundance is for them but not for you. But the moment you expose scarcity for what it really is, a mental virus, you begin to break free. You stop waiting for permission and start aligning with purpose. Alignment is what brings the invisible into the visible. When you're aligned with who you really are and what you're truly called to do, doors open, not because of luck, but because of clarity. Scarcity clouds your vision. It makes you second guess your instincts, compare your path, and abandon your assignment. But alignment brings focus. It reminds you that your path is yours, that your provision is attached to your purpose, and that nothing anyone else does can block what was designed with your name on it. The marketplace doesn't reward those who panic. It rewards those who stand in their authority. You can't fake alignment. You either carry it or you don't. When you're aligned, you're not chasing outcomes. You're building something that lasts. You're not in a rush because you understand timing. You're not desperate because you understand value. Scarcity makes you move out of fear. Alignment makes you move with conviction. And people respond to that. They're drawn to it because most of the world is lost in noise, but alignment cuts through like a frequency only the ready can hear. Scarcity tells you to hoard. Alignment teaches you to multiply. Scarcity makes you play defense. Alignment lets you play offense. Scarcity says protect what you have. Alignment says expand into what's yours. That's the difference between being reactive and being proactive. Most people build their lives trying to avoid failure, but aligned people build based on vision. They're not running from something, they're moving towards something. That forward motion is what creates momentum. It's what produces creativity, strategy, resilience, and ultimately results. You cannot build legacy from a scarcity mindset. You might get by, but you'll never rise, because scarcity is a survival mentality. It keeps you just above broke, just above fear, just above average. It convinces you that you're being responsible when really you're just being limited. Alignment, on the other hand, is about stewardship. It's not reckless. It's calculated. It's intentional. It says, I know what I've been given, and I'm going to manage it according to purpose, not panic. There's always more than enough for those who believe there's more than enough. There's no shortage of clients, no shortage of ideas, no shortage of solutions. The only shortage exists in the minds of those who think in limits. The truth is, the world is overflowing with opportunity, but you will never see what your mind is not trained to perceive. Alignment tunes your thinking to the right frequency. It helps you spot what others miss. It opens your eyes to the resources, people, and open doors that have been around you all along. Think, speak, and act like the version of you who already has it. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not as wide as it seems. It's not a matter of time, it's a matter of identity. Most people wait to become successful before they shift how they think, talk, and move, but that's the reverse of how transformation happens. You don't wait for the result before you shift the behavior. You shift the behavior so you can create the result. The version of you who has already achieved the goal doesn't think the same as the one who's still hoping for it. The difference is not in circumstances, it's in mindset. When you think like the person who already has what you want, you make different decisions. You speak with more authority. You walk in greater confidence. You say no to things that don't align. You stop seeking approval from people who don't understand your vision. You stop entertaining opportunities that pay you in distraction. Instead, you become intentional with your thoughts. You guard your focus. You manage your energy. Because that next level version of you isn't confused or clear, decisive, and strategic. And the reason they attract results is because they already live in the mindset of results. Speaking like the version of you who already has it means eliminating powerless language. No more I hope. No more I'm trying. No more if it works out. That language has no place in the vocabulary of someone who is walking in purpose. You replace it with words like I am, I will, and it's done. Because your words are commands. They send instructions into your future. They train your subconscious. They shape your identity. And your identity is always trying to stay consistent with what you say. When you speak from a place of power, you start aligning everything else with that standard. You stop tolerating average. You stop explaining your worth. You stop downplaying your vision. Acting like the version of you who already has it is not about pretending or putting on a show. It's about integrity. It's about congruence between what you believe and how you behave. If you truly believe you're destined for more, then your actions should reflect that belief. You don't make decisions based on where you are. You make them based on where you're going. That means showing up with excellence even when no one is watching. That means investing in your growth even before the income matches the vision. That means setting standards in your life, your business, and your relationships that match your future, not your past. The version of you at $50 million, 0 cents, doesn't wake up unsure of their value. They don't hesitate to lead. They don't operate in chaos. They have structure, they have clarity, and they have peace. They prioritize their time, protect their energy, and steward their resources with intention. If you want to reach that level, you have to become that person now. You have to train your mind to respond to challenge the way that future you would. You have to discipline your emotions the way a leader does. You have to stop reacting and start designing, because the habits you practice today are shaping the future you're asking for. This is about identity. If you keep thinking like the broke version of yourself, speaking like the unsure version, and acting like the fearful version, then you'll keep producing the same outcomes. Nothing changes until your identity changes. You have to become the container that can carry what you're asking for. You can't pour new results into an old mindset. You can't attract abundance with a limited identity. The faster you step into the behavior of the person who already has it, the faster your reality will begin to reflect it. Money is a reward for solving valuable problems. That's the simple equation that governs the marketplace, whether people realize it or not. Too many people think money comes from time or effort alone, but that's only part of the story. Time and effort without value creation won't get you far. You can work hard for 40 years and still struggle financially if what you're doing doesn't solve a high value problem. The marketplace pays in proportion to the size and urgency of the problem you solve. If you want to increase your income, you don't start by working harder. You start by identifying more valuable problems to solve. Every dollar you earn is a thank you note from someone who had a problem and felt that you made it go away. That's the nature of wealth creation. You are being rewarded not just for showing up, but for making a difference. That means the key to more income is more impact. If you're solving low-level problems that many others can also solve, your value will always be capped. But when you lean into problems that are complex, painful, and urgent, especially ones that others avoid or don't know how to solve, you position yourself to be paid at a premium. Most people are afraid of problems. They avoid discomfort. They look for easy tasks and stay in their zone of convenience. But wealth is not found in ease. It's found in solving what others are unwilling or unable to solve. The person who makes millions in business isn't just talented. They're tuned into a need that no one else is meeting in quite the same way. They don't complain about problems. They look for them. They hunt for gaps in the market, inefficiencies in systems, frustrations people are tired of dealing with. And then they offer solutions. You have to reframe how you view problems. A problem is not a barrier, it's a bridge. It's not an obstacle, it's an opportunity. When you change your relationship with problems, you unlock your earning potential. Instead of being intimidated by challenges, you begin to embrace them as invitations to serve at a higher level. And service is the gateway to wealth. The more people you serve and the more deeply you serve them, the more money will flow in your direction. Say skills matter, but strategic thinking matters more. You can be highly skilled, but broke if you're not applying those skills to the right problems. A plumber and a brain surgeon both have expertise, but one gets paid significantly more. Not because one works harder, but because one solves a higher stakes problem. If you want higher income, you need to attach your skills to higher stakes outcomes. That means doing the work of evaluating what you're good at, then aiming that talent at the kinds of problems people will pay serious money to solve. Innovation also plays a role. If you can find a new way to solve an old problem or solve a problem faster, more efficiently, or with less pain, you immediately increase your value. People pay for convenience. They pay for clarity. They pay for peace of mind, and they especially pay for results. So the more direct, repeatable, and dependable your solution is, the more the marketplace will reward you for it. This is why becoming a high-impact earner is not about luck. It's about learning how to think differently. It's about becoming a problem solver at scale. It's about elevating your perspective, asking better questions, and creating outcomes that matter. When you become obsessed with helping others win, with creating transformation, with delivering results, you start stepping into the territory where money flows consistently. Because money follows impact, and impact begins with identifying the right problems to solve. Clarity, certainty, and obedience attract abundance. These three forces are the silent engines behind every significant wealth breakthrough. Most people are waiting for money to show up before they become clear, before they get certain, before they move with obedience to their inner calling. But that's backwards. Money responds to order. Money flows toward clarity. It resists chaos, confusion, and hesitation. When you're unclear, you hesitate. When you hesitate, you miss timing. When you miss timing, you miss opportunity. Abundance doesn't wait around for indecision. It shows up for people who know exactly what they want and why they want it. Clarity is the ability to define your vision in exact terms. It's knowing what you want, how it aligns with your purpose, and where it will take you. Most people never rise because they're vague. They say they want more income or a better life, but they haven't defined what that actually means. They haven't written the vision, made it plain, or committed to a destination. You can't attract what you haven't clearly named. The universe responds to specifics. So does the mind. When you gain clarity, you stop wasting energy. You stop entertaining distractions. You stop making small moves that don't serve your future. Clarity filters your focus and gives direction to your effort. Certainty is the internal state of being convinced. It's not arrogance, it's conviction. It's what separates dreamers from doers. When you're certain, you're not swayed by every opinion or discouraged by every obstacle. Certainty is magnetic. People are drawn to it. Clients, investors, partners, and opportunities all want to be near someone who knows who they are and what they're about. Most people think they need proof before they can be certain, but certainty comes first. Proof follows belief. You don't get certainty from your bank account, your resume, or your audience size. You get it from making a decision to believe in your assignment, your vision, and your value, regardless of your current conditions. Obedience is the willingness to take aligned action even when it doesn't make sense to others. It's when you follow the nudge, respond to the inner voice, take the next step without needing a full blueprint. That's where the supernatural shows up. Obedience breaks cycles. It moves you past fear, past comfort, and into momentum. The problem is many people wait until the path looks safe or familiar, But abundance often hides behind instructions that feel uncomfortable. Obedience opens doors that hustle alone never could. It positions you for provision that logic can't explain. Because you weren't designed to chase money, you were designed to respond to purpose. Biggest three: clarity, certainty, and obedience create alignment. And alignment is what attracts abundance. It's not just about what you're doing, it's about who you're becoming in the process. Abundance comes to the version of you who is ready to receive it. If you're unclear, uncertain, or disobedient, you signal to your environment that you're not yet ready. But when you show up with clarity about your vision, certainty in your value, and obedience to your purpose, things begin to move. Resources find you, relationships shift, opportunities accelerate. You don't have to beg for abundance when you're in alignment. You don't have to manipulate, strive, or prove anything. You just have to walk fully in who you were designed to be. But that only happens when you stop doubting the voice inside you, when you stop needing everyone's approval, when you stop negotiating with your fear. These forces don't just change your business, they change your posture. They give you the presence of someone who is ready, who is trustworthy, who can handle the weight of wealth. Because wealth has weight, and you won't be given more than you're prepared to carry. There is no future version of you that is more qualified than the you who decides right now. The idea that you need more time, more experience, more credentials, or more confidence before you take the leap is one of the most deceptive traps in personal growth. It keeps you preparing indefinitely, rehearsing scenarios that never happen, and delaying action until everything feels perfect. But the truth is, the future doesn't deliver confidence, it responds to decision. The version of you who wins is not waiting in some far-off place where everything is figured out. That version is born the moment you stop hesitating and move forward in faith. Waiting to become more ready is a clever disguise for fear. It's the fear of failing, the fear of being judged, the fear of not being enough. But preparation without execution becomes procrastination. And procrastination robs you of momentum. Every delay teaches your mind that hesitation is safer than movement, that comfort is better than calling. But calling doesn't wait for your feelings to catch up. It demands that you trust the seed inside of you before you see the fruit. You don't grow into readiness, you grow because you choose to act before you feel ready. The strongest breakthroughs come when you respond to purpose, not perfection. No external upgrade can replace internal permission. You don't need another course before you start. You don't need everyone to validate you before you launch. You don't need the ideal timing, the perfect economy, or 100 testimonials. All you need is the courage to say yes to what's already in your spirit. Too many people spend their lives studying the mountain instead of climbing it. They analyze, compare, and wait. Meanwhile, someone with half their talent but twice their courage is out there making moves, learning through action, building momentum, and collecting results. Execution is the great separator. It's not that the winners had fewer doubts. They just didn't let the doubts lead. They acted in spite of them. They understood that clarity comes through movement, not waiting. You don't need to see the whole staircase to take the first step. That step activates something powerful. It tells your mind, your body, and the universe that you're serious, that you're not just talking about it, that you're not playing pretend with your goals. And once that signal is sent, the right doors begin to open, not because you waited for them, but because you moved toward them. Every high-level outcome you want is already waiting for you to match it with high-level decisions. Those decisions are not made in the future, they are made in the now. The version of you with influence, wealth, impact, and legacy does not live in a someday. That version lives inside of your willingness to take ownership today. Ownership is the birthplace of transformation. It's the place where excuses die and destiny begins. When you take full responsibility for what happens next, you stop outsourcing your power. You stop blaming your past. You stop hoping someone else will hand you the breakthrough. It's not about how long you've been preparing. It's about how bold you're willing to be right now. Most people overestimate how much time they need and underestimate how much power they already have. The gap between you and the breakthrough is not years of waiting. It's a decision to stop waiting. Once you decide, everything changes. You begin to think differently, speak differently, show up differently, and the world starts to respond to the new frequency you're operating on. It's not magic. It's alignment in action. It's the convergence of belief and behavior. And it starts not with someday, but with the now.